I'm Abiran, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at one of our most important organs, the heart. The heart is an extremely important organ because it distributes blood throughout our bodies. This function of the heart is very important for our survival, as the blood that is distributed by the heart contains oxygen and various nutrients that are needed by our other organs. The two types of blood that our heart deals with are oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. First, let's talk about deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood is the blood in our bodies that contains lower levels of oxygen, as most of its oxygen molecules have already been taken by the other organs through our bloodstream. As a result, this blood now has higher levels of carbon dioxide. The heart then pumps this blood into our lungs, and through a process called gas exchange, the deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated. Now, let's talk about oxygenated blood. Unlike deoxygenated blood, oxygenated blood has lower levels of carbon dioxide and higher levels of oxygen. As I mentioned earlier, oxygenated blood is very important as it supplies all our other organs with the oxygen that they need in order to function properly. After the process of gas exchange, the heart will pump the oxygenated blood throughout our bodies. So, you may be wondering, how does the blood actually get transported throughout our bodies? In order to move blood through our bodies, we have tube-like structures known as blood vessels. These blood vessels can be broken down into two types, veins and arteries. When deoxygenated blood needs to travel from the rest of your body to your heart for gas exchange, it travels through your veins. When your heart is ready to supply oxygenated blood to the rest of your body, it travels through your arteries. As we can see, the heart can be broken down into four chambers: the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. You may have noticed in the diagram that the right atrium and right ventricle are shown in blue. Make sure to note that our heart is not actually two different colors. The blue color is used to show the parts of the heart that move deoxygenated blood, while the red color is used to show the parts that move oxygenated blood. So the ventricles, which are the bottom chambers of the heart, receive blood from the atria, which are the top chambers of the heart. The left ventricle will pump oxygenated blood throughout the body, while the right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood towards the lungs for gas exchange. This pumping motion of the heart is known as our heartbeat. You've probably felt your heartbeat before, but if not, you can feel it by putting your hand between the left and middle of your chest, like this. So you felt your heartbeat, but have you ever wondered what it sounds like? In order to listen to your heartbeat, doctors use a tool called a stethoscope. You've probably seen one of these instruments if you visited the doctor before, and the doctor has most likely even used one to listen to your heartbeat. When the doctor uses a stethoscope, he or she is listening to the rhythm of your heartbeat, along with the sounds that your heart is making. Now, let's listen to our heartbeats by making our very own homemade stethoscope. For this experiment, we'll need a funnel, some plastic tubing, a balloon, a pair of scissors, and tape. So for our first step, we're going to take the plastic tubing and we're going to insert it into the narrow end of the funnel. We want to make sure that the plastic tubing doesn't come all the way to the other side, as long as it stays within that narrow end. Next, we're going to take a piece of tape and we're going to wrap it around both the tube and the funnel so that it stays securely in place. It should look something like this, and as you can see, if I tug lightly on the tube, it doesn't move. Next, we want to take the balloon and we're going to wrap it around the wide end of the funnel. In order to do this, first we'll need to cut the bottom portion off the balloon. Now, be very careful when you're handling the scissors and make sure to ask an adult for help if you need it. Now I'm going to stretch out the balloon to make it easier to wrap around the wide end of the funnel. Before starting the next step, it would be easier for us if we cut out 2 strips of tape. So now I want to wrap the balloon over the wide end of the funnel. So in order to do this, cover the funnel with the balloon, and then we'll hold on to one side while pulling the other side, and stretching it over until the whole funnel is covered. We want to get rid of any lumps, and we want to make sure that we have a nice flat surface. So So now I'm going to take our piece of tape and I'm going to tape the balloon onto the funnel just to hold it in place. And I'll do the same for the other side. So now our stethoscope should look something like this. And we're done. Now that we have our own stethoscopes, let's test them out. In order to listen to our heartbeats with our stethoscopes, we're going to place the side with the balloon on our chest, in the same place that I showed you before. And we're going to take the other end and we're going to put it to our ear. Now, we should be able to hear our heartbeats. For the best results, try to find yourself a quiet room in order to listen to your heartbeat. You can even try this on someone else in your house. Try to find the differences between their heartbeat and yours. Now, let's try listening to the sound of our heartbeats after doing some exercise. Try jogging on the spot for about 15 or 20 seconds and listen to the sound of your heartbeat with a stethoscope. Do you notice any differences? Alright everyone, that wraps up our activity for today. Let's do a quick recap of everything that we learned. Our hearts are very important because they send oxygenated blood throughout our bodies to our other organs and deoxygenated blood towards our lungs. In our lungs, the process called gas exchange occurs, and from this process, the deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated so that our heart can send it throughout our bodies. The heart is made up of 4 chambers: the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. The left atrium and ventricle deal with oxygenated blood, while the right atrium and ventricle deal with deoxygenated blood. Our heart makes a pumping motion in order to send blood throughout our bodies, and this is what we know as the heartbeat. And finally, our heartbeat can be heard with the use of a tool called a stethoscope. I hope everyone had a lot of fun making our very own stethoscopes today.